In PowerPoint, it is recommended only to have simple tables. When inserting a table, do not use the Insert tab to insert your table. Instead, you want to use a slide layout that has a content placeholder for a table. To do this, click on New Slide, and then choose the layout with the content placeholder for a table. You can tell because they are the layouts with the icons that are in the middle of each content placeholder. So for today, I'm going to pick Comparison. Now let's enter a title for our slide. To insert our table, let's use the Insert Table icon in our content placeholder. Our Insert Table pop-up box will show, and here you want to identify how many columns and rows we would like. Let's do 4 columns and 3 rows, then click OK. The color of your table is connected to the design of your presentation you chose. If you do not like the color, you can simply change it up here in Table Styles. If you click on the down arrow, you will receive more table style options. If you scroll over each one, you will receive a preview of what your table will look like. Remember to keep color contrast in mind, and I recommend the simpler the better. Let's go with no style, no grid option. Now I notice that the light colored lines are hard to read. So I'm going to select the entire table. Then I'm going to go to Borders, and I'm going to choose All Borders. Now it's a little easier on the eyes. Next, I'm going to enter some data and information into our table so we have something to work with. Now that I have some random information typed up in our table, I would like to add the second table. So again, I'm going to click on the Insert Table icon and insert our table. And I would like the same number of columns, so 4 columns, and same number of rows, 3 rows. And then I'm going to click OK. Now I'm going to change the colors again. So I'm going to come up here to the table styles, click on the down arrow, and choose no style, no grid again. Now I would like to add the borders. So I'm going to select the entire table, click on Borders, and click All Borders. Next, I'm going to now enter some data and information into the second table. Now that we have information typed up in both of our tables, I would like to point out that both tables are giving us the same information, but showing it in 2 different ways. In the first table, only color was used to show us the project completion status. Some might think this is sufficient because it's reasonable to assume that everyone knows a green X means yes, and a red X means no, project is not completed or needs attention. But this can be hard to see for some people who have low vision, color blindness, or even psychological disabilities. On the second table, the use of color and symbols were used to convey the same information. This leaves room for less ambiguity and is considered more accessible. You still have the green and red colors for those who prefer color to understand the information, but your content is now more clear, using the Y for yes and the N for no. Next, we have to make sure that our table has alternative text, or alt text. This will explain to the person using the screen reader what the table is about. Make sure your table is selected, then right-click. Click on Format Shape, and your Format Shape pane should pop up on the right of your screen. Click on the third icon, Size and Properties, and go down to the fourth option, Alt Text. Now you can type your alt text title and description. Your title should be quick and easy, and your description is what you want your listeners to hear about the table. Keep in mind that the listener cannot see your table, but can only hear your description. Also, do not start your description with "this is a table of." If you chose the layout with the proper content placeholders and inserted the table the proper way, the screen reader will already identify to the listener that this is a table. Now that I've typed in my title and description, you'll notice that the title is short and simple, but the description is longer and more detailed, telling the listener what information I want them to get from the table. And of course, if this was an actual table about due dates and completion status, my description would be completely different. Repeat this process for the second table to ensure that both tables have alternative text. We also want to make sure that we specify a header row for our tables. Make sure your table is active, then click on the Design tab. Make sure your header row option is checked under the Table Styles option. As you can see, my header row was already checked, but it is always best practice to verify that we have a header row for accessibility purposes.